Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So let's talk about this because I feel like this is very suspicious. It's very suspicious behavior. So Memorial Day weekend, which was technically the last weekend in May 2023, there was a bevy of wrestling shows. Impact ran a show, WWE had 2 shows, and AEW had Double or Nothing. So after the weekend, it started to be noted that people were more excited for the WWE product than the AEW product. And this was reflected in at least 2 different polls. In the Cagematch poll, which has been sort of the Rotten Tomatoes of pro wrestling, NXT was actually rated higher than AEW. Later on, it happened again with the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Their poll also rated NXT and Night of Champions higher than AEW. And so what happened? Both have decided to change the way that they do business. So if you thought that the wrestling media couldn't get more biased, they have decided that they're going to limit who can respond in order to sort of combat trolling, as they said. So when it was WWE being trolled all these many years, it wasn't a problem. Soon as AEW gets trolled, maybe for one weekend, all of a sudden, we have to change how we do business. So let's talk about this and see what's going on here. Even though it's kind of backwards, let's start with Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. So Night of Champions, which happened on Saturday, May 27th, has 171 upvotes, 24 votes in the middle, and 0 down votes. So that has an upvote of 87.8%. So 195 people voted, at least at the time of this screenshot. And out of the 195 people, 171 thought the show was good. NXT Battleground had significantly fewer votes, only having 69 votes. But they had 55 votes up, 14 votes in the middle, for a 79.7 positive rating. AEW had almost 400 votes, 232 upvotes, 32 downvotes, 104 votes in the middle, meaning the thumbs up vote is 63%. So NXT got 0 downvotes and WWE got 0 downvotes. Now, what's the likelihood that WWE will get literally 0 downvotes? Now, what ends up spinning out of this is Dave Meltzer ends up giving the star ratings for AEW Double or Nothing and that entire weekend. And Dave Meltzer considered Double or Nothing to be a far superior show in which one match, Anarchy in the Arena, got 5 stars. Several other matches, including the Battle Royal and the Pillars Fatal 4-Way or something like that, got at least 4 stars, maybe more than 4 stars. So it's considered vastly the superior show of the weekend. And yet, his viewers, the people who are supposedly subscribers to his, or whoever can vote on his site, liked WWE, both WWE products, more than the AEW product. Now, clearly that was a problem, all right? Clearly that was an issue. Clearly somebody needs to do something. So it was announced by Brian Alvarez, quote, this is from June the 2nd. Beginning Monday, all Wrestling Observer shows will be returning to the paywall, including the Observer Live video shows. You can use an Amazon Prime account to sign up for Twitch for free. I understand it sucks for freeloaders, but life will be much better for subscribers. Then he went online and says, when somebody says this is about money, it's not about trolls, he said, well, of course it's about revenue, but it's also about the fact that putting it out there for free resulted in an incredible amount of trolling from freeloaders that ruined the experience for everyone. We tried it as an experiment to see what it would do in terms of raising visibility, but maybe having it translate to subscribers. But ultimately, the downsides far exceeded the upsides. Nothing we do should make life worse for our subscribers. In other words, you guys voted far more votes for AEW than for the WWE shows. There were more votes total for the AEW show than there was for the two WWE shows probably combined. But the votes were negative. People did not like Double or Nothing. So because you didn't like Double or Nothing, well, clearly there must be trolls involved, and they're upsetting our subscribers, so we're going to put everything behind a paywall again. We have to change how we do business because AEW is now being affected by the way we were doing business. Very, very suspicious. And if you didn't think that was suspicious enough, somebody did a screenshot, probably the Monday after May 28th, which would be the day, it would be May 29th then, which would be the day after Battleground and Double or Nothing. So on Cagematch, NXT Battleground had 77 valid votes for a 9.26 positive rating. AEW Double or Nothing had 158 valid votes, but a 6.53 positive rating, meaning that NXT was rated higher on Cagematch than AEW Double or Nothing. So what do you expect to happen? Well, Cagematch changed how they do business. They put out a note saying, "Hello everyone, this is the 21st anniversary of Cagematch. We are here after 22 years, still independent and still free to use without any advertisements. But the unfortunate reality is that it's getting harder and harder each week to stay ahead of the rampant trolling and tribalism and one-dimensional fanaticism that has plagued the wrestling internet for some time now. It sucks the fun out of doing this sometimes. The online promotion wars have reached another zenith this past weekend with multiple WWE and AEW shows that saw the trolls of either side come out from under the bridges and scream at each other and us for apparently favoring one side over the other. We do not, but any discussion or argument of this point is moot. Those of you who have a brain and have visited us for a while know this already. The others will never be convinced as they have already made up their mind. But this is not what this is about. This is about the following. In order to get the rampant tribalism and reactionism after wrestling events under somewhat of control, the following rule is now in effect in a public beta stage. Ratings for events and matches are now possible at the earliest at noon of the following day. So it means you can't respond immediately afterwards anymore. You have to wait several hours later. So that's going to, of course, limit the amount of people who are voting, which is the point, right? To dilute the vote, which is exactly the same thing that Meltzer and all them are trying to do, right? They're trying to limit the amount of people who vote or limit your opinions because you didn't like the AEW show. And what is the likelihood that two very, very, very popular match rating systems decide to change at the same time because of stuff, let's say, that happened over the same weekend? What's the likelihood? Let me rub my chinny chin chin. Cagematch continues. I fully expect this to result in a dip in overall number of ratings, as traditionally the time directly after a show leads to the most ratings. What I do hope to accomplish here is an improvement in overall quality of the ratings and comments, as well as a massive reduction in reactionary ratings. Oh my God, that was the best worst thing ever. And also a reduction in tribalism. So all the years of tribalism and hatred that have affected WWE shows where they can run to Cagematch and say that these matches sucked. This guy sucks. Everybody sucks because it's WWE. That was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with our rating system then. But then all of a sudden, NXT starts looking better than AEW and everybody's like, wait a minute, that can't possibly be right. It can't possibly be right. Something's wrong. We need to go in there and change everything. If you think I hated the wrestling media before, it's like, bro, how do you not see this? How do you not see this? I'm not even connecting any dots here. This stuff is clear as crystal. They're telling you we're being brigaded, so we're going to change how we do things. It's like, oh, okay. So you weren't worried about that before. When, WrestleManias or whatever gets terrible ratings, you didn't mind at that point that, people said it was the worst thing ever when Cody lost at WrestleMania. This was just a few months ago. And it was one of the worst finishes of all time and all this kind of stuff. You didn't mind then. It was okay. Then somebody has a crappy Double or Nothing. And it's not even like, it's consistent across the board that Double or Nothing was a flop show. Okay, it is a lot of people's opinions that it was a flop show. A lot of AEW fans are disappointed, and that wasn't enough. It's not considered real. You're all trolls. You disagreed with us, therefore you're trolls. The bias couldn't be stronger if you saw these bums wearing AEW shirts. I mean, it is what it is, man. Look, I don't take none of this stuff seriously. Nor do I care what the ratings were for any match or any person. That's not why I watch wrestling. I don't give a damn. I don't care about the same thing about movies. I don't care what other people who think that they're experts like a match or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's your opinion. But if you run a site that supposedly listens to the opinions of the masses, guess what? A lot of the opinions of the masses are people that you're not going to like. I mean, for years, decades of people brigading WWE shows that were at least decent, being called the worst shows ever, stupid shows, yada, yada, yada. Nobody had anything to say. That was perfectly fine. It happens to AEW a couple of times, though, with several weak dynamites and weak pay-per-views. All of a sudden, we got to change things. We can't have this. It's too much. The tribalism is too much. It's like, bro, people who watched NXT liked the show. It was fewer people who are more apt to like the show. That's how statistics work. More people watched the more mainstream product and were turned off. AEW is a more mainstream product than NXT. All right? More people watched AEW, therefore it had more votes, which means it had more potential to be disliked. Fewer people watch NXT, but the people who watched NXT enjoyed the show. Therefore, NXT, with its much fewer votes, got a more positive reaction because the people who watched it already like NXT and liked the show. While some people watched AEW and don't really even like AEW. All right? But AEW is a mainstream wrestling product. So you're going to get two different outcomes from two different audiences. So I'm pretty sure if you do like Impact or something like that, and I don't know what the ratings are for Impact. Matter of fact, let's take a look live. So Impact Under Siege, which happened the exact same weekend, had only 39 valid votes, but an 8.2 rating, which means only 40 people actually voted for this show, and it got a good positive reaction. Why? Because people who like Impact watched the show and liked it. Meanwhile, people who don't like WWE watch WWE, and people who don't like AEW watch AEW, and therefore the brigading occurs right there. But it's been happening to WWE for years, and nobody has cared. But it only matters because AEW has been using the Wrestling Observer newsletter and Cagematch as a bludgeon by their fanboys to the WWE fans. That's why it matters now. That's why they're changing things now. I mean, nobody is complaining that Impact was rated so high. Nobody cares. Nobody thinks it's a joke. That's how you know that it's some. Come on, man. I'm just going to drop it right here. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort so